Why, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Improving at Dota 2. Today's topic is something that a couple of people are, really doing a little bit too much or overrating too much, and others kind of pay no attention to whatsoever. And that's counterpicking. Counterpicking refers to addressing your opposing team's natural weaknesses with one of your natural strengths on the hero you're going to pick, if not a specific hero. Say, for example, you want to counterpick this month's flavor of the month hero is Phantom Lancer due to his incredible agility gain buff. So how do you deal with Phantom Lancer? And then people would pick something specifically to counter Phantom Lancer rather than doing what in most cases is easier to do and will win you more games than just simply counterpicking, and that is actually dealing with the setup you have and the setup they have, the opposing team, as a whole, with your playstyle and your set of items, than just simply picking a hero that naturally has a skill set that deals well with what Phantom Lancer does. So in order to discuss this properly, we're gonna take this. We're gonna put this into several sections. We're gonna part this into 3 sections, right? First off, we're just gonna take a couple of examples at random of pure hero counters. What a hero's strengths are, what a specific hero's strength is, and its weaknesses, and what hero, as opposed to that initial pick, could deal with it very well, naturally, just with his skill set. Let's take, for example, take for example Earthshaker, right? Because he's the first one in the list, whatever. Earthshaker, what's Earthshaker do? Well, Earthshaker is a support, sometimes a roaming support, but what's he based on? Well, we have somewhat, a good strength gain. He's a melee. He has Fissure, which is a stun. He has Enchant Totem, which is a stun combined with Aftershock. And he has Echo Slam, which is another stun combined with Aftershock, that also deals massive AoE damage. So if you look at that hero, where does he excel and where are his weaknesses? Well, he's strong in shutting someone down. Chain stuns. He's all around stunning. He's around supporting, he's built around stunning, and he's built around AoE damage. But he's lacking an escape. He is melee. He doesn't really have anything to offer other than magical stuns and magic damage. So what would be a good way to deal with him? Something that naturally deals well with disables and or magic damage. So what are the options? Well, we have Omni Knight, who has Repel, or we could have Lifestealer. Lifestealer has Rage. Rage is like an inbuilt Black King bar. It makes you immune to magic for 6 seconds. And he has a Snare in Open Wounds that will slow the target by 70%. And then, makes it recover movement speed over a duration of time. So, if we look at that, we could say, hey, if he pops Rage, other than maybe putting a really good Fissure down that will block the path so that Lifestealer can't even physically get to Earthshaker anymore, for 6 seconds, all Earthshaker can do is, well, bend over and plead for mercy, because really, he can't stun his way out, he has no escape, he can't get away, and he will be slowed as well if he tries to run. All he can do is TP out, really, and then he has to endure punishment first. If he doesn't have the health pool, he's still gonna die. That's a good basic option of instant, counter picking an Earthshaker, just with the skill set Lifestealer has. You know, magic immunity, he has a slow, and he even has somewhat of an escape and infest. On top of the fact that, you know, Earthshaker's strength, which is just a side fact, the Earthshaker is strength, so, you know, Feast takes a portion out of the victim's health pool and steals it as life leech. So basically, if Earthshaker is a strength hero, has a ton of health, Lifestealer will deal a ton of damage to him because he will steal 7% of his current health pool with every attack on top of the base damage he does. On top of the fact that most Lifestealer item builds are evolved around minus armor with a Desolator or an Assault Cuirass, and strength heroes generally lack armor. So his physical attacks will also deal a fuck ton of damage because you will most likely be in the areas around -5 armor once he hits you. So that's a good pick on all levels. Deals with the magic, deals with the disables, deals with the magic damage, deals with the fact that he's strength and the fact that he has no escape. Can kill him easily, you know? No biggie. That's a good counter pick. Now, what would you do, say, against a Ricky? Oh, Ricky, such a bitch hero, right? Nobody likes him. He's so imbalanced, although he really isn't on any higher levels of play. But why is that? Because really, his gimmick is being invisible, but that's not really his best skill. What are the best skills here if we're looking at him? Well, by far, Smokescreen and Backstab. Blink Strike's okay, it's a nice skill, but it's Smokescreen and Backstab, that's the issue here. How could you deal with that? Oh, well, we're gonna do the obvious, right? We're not gonna fuck around. If I see a Ricky, I gotta go. If this ever loads, I gotta go and I gotta pick Slaughter, a bounty hunter, right? Because what does Slaughter do? Well, his ult, amp damage, reveals invisible units on top of giving minus armor. And bounty hunter has track, one of the best ults in the game, because he gives a fuck ton of cash to his team. But also tracks invisible units. So okay, I could pick bounty hunter and deal with Ricky, but really the main issue is Backstab and Smokescreen. But at least I see him coming. So, you know, those are some natural strengths and natural weaknesses, and you address them with hero picks. Another example, because it's this month's, you know, flavor of the month, is Phantom Lancer. What does Phantom Lancer do? Well, Phantom Lancer is mostly evolved around capping out early and producing a fuck ton of illusions. What does that mean? Well, if you put a Phantom Lancer and leave him on a lane and leave him alone for 35 minutes, he's going to have a full inventory. Same with an Alchemist. An Alchemist that's being left alone for 35 minutes is going to have a full inventory. The difference is, though, that although they're hard carries, as compared to other carries with a full inventory, they would not be as powerful, or they can't really win a fist fight 1v1. However, the fact that they cap out so early means that the opposing carries do not even get to have a full inventory. That's where they peak. By having their inventory filled early on and easily, and being able to do other things as well. You could say, oh yeah, well, Alki is just as good as Phantom Lancer. Yeah, but the problem is that Phantom Lancer, due to the fact that he creates so many illusions, can easily farm the jungle, whilst he's, farming the lane. And, he has a cheap early game nuke. And everything creates illusions, Juxtapose creates illusions, Phantom Lance creates illusions, Double Walk is a cheap, somewhat reliable early game escape because it's invisibility. And, it creates an illusion as well. So other than just capping out early and being good by, having a full inventory early on, at minute 35 or something, and then just winning the game by being more fed than the other team's carry, he can also be useful by pushing. He can split push everywhere on the map. As opposed to an Alki who would also cap out very early with Goblin's Greed. But an Alki can't push as well. In fact, an Alki can't do anything. all an Alchemist can do is stun and dispose of creep waves somewhat faster with his acid because it gives minus armor. But really, all that makes him cap out early is Goblin's is Grievel's Greed, they call it now. And that's it. He's incredibly beefy, he has incredible high attack speed, and good health regen to his ult. But without items, he's rather useless, and he gets his items rather quickly. If you put him against a full inventory AM though, a full inventory Phantom Lancer, a full inventory Luna, a full inventory anything, he will lose because he's not that good a carry. So if you get a full inventory at minute 35, you better make it count. Because something like a Lifestealer, something like a Luna, something like an AM will destroy him. So what people do when it goes about, countering a Phantom Lancer just with natural abilities, they think of, well, what disposes of illusions quickly? And I know what you might think, oh well, doesn't Medusa dispose of illusions quickly? But the problem is Medusa's needs just as much farm as a Phantom Lancer to be useful, and the fact that her mana shield is what keeps her alive, and the fact that Phantom Lancer naturally in his builds uses a Diffusal Blade makes her incredibly weak against him by default. Every illusion gets Diffusal Blade propagates to illusions, so every illusion burns mana, which means that they are basically twice as effective as they're supposed to be. If I burn 36 mana every hit on you, you take 36 additional damage on top of maybe the 20% of the illusions deal. So let's just take a random number, 36 plus 50. Right, that's 86 damage per hit of an illusion. If you take a Medusa though, a Medusa's mana shield absorbs 2.25 points of damage per point of mana. So if you say you had a Medusa with 1000 health and 1000 mana, actually she has an effective health pool of 3225 health. If, however, because Phantom Lancer has Diffusal Blade, hits her, it would mean that burning 36 mana on top of dealing damage makes the Diffusal Blade twice as effective against her. And he will burn through her mana pool faster than anything else. Faster than an AM for that matter. So, although you might think her gaze is a good counter to illusions, it doesn't really stand a chance. On top of the fact that she needs a fuck ton of farm to be useful. And again, she can't push well. She's not as useful early on in the game. And the Phantom Lancer minute 35 has a full inventory, pushed some towers with illusions, had a lot easier and a lot more farm with farming the entire forest with his illusions. And he will counter her harder than she will counter him. But people use AoE damage. Another hero that's very popular right now is Gyro. Why? Natural AoE. He gets involved early on into the game, but he has Flak Cannon, which will deal 1 extra shot for every other target in his general AoE. And he has Cooldown. Slows the targets, deals some decent AoE damage. It can be as low cooldown, can be used for team fights, can also be used for, just simply dealing with pushes. So he's very good against Phantom Lancer. Why? Because he can put himself up against a Phantom Lancer early on already when he wants to push a tower. And just pop cooldown, get rid of all the illusions, on top of the fact that he has Flak Cannon. So if he shoots Phantom Lancer, all the illusions take 1 hit as well. So he easily disposes of the illusions, which is all Phantom Lancer is based around, and then easily kill him. If not, in a team fight, make him a lot more vulnerable, because he disposes of all the illusions, and there's just one lonely Phantom Lancer in his team. Makes it a lot easier. Another thing you could do is pick a Sand King with Epicenter, right? Deals with him very well as well, Stun plus Epicenter, pops out all the illusions, maybe even last hit a creep that's in there, or maybe a hero that's already low and is gonna die, if not the illusions, and Caustic Finale deals another 220 damage, massive AoE damage, but the problem is, that diminishes. Caustic Finale and Epicenter is nice, but you don't want to blow it on the illusions. You will most likely pop it in a team fight, but you can't pop it every time a Phantom Lancer wants to push. So it's not as effective. It's a good, effective way to deal with him in a team fight, but that's not good for defending. Cooldown, low cooldown, can be used at, can be disposed of easily, doesn't matter. Has a low cooldown, can easily be used to defend towers with, and flak cannon, very low cooldown, and it scales with physical attacks. So if at some point Gyro deals 500 damage because he has a Divine Rapier in his inventory, all the flak cannon shots will deal 500 damage. So the illusions will be disposed of as well in the early game as they're going to be disposed of in the late game. In the late game, if Phantom Lancer has a heart, and the illusions have 2k health, it's going to be a bit more tough to kill them with an epicenter than it is with flak cannon. Why would you not pick something like a Shadow Fiend? Why would you not pick something like, why would you not pick something like a Puck, right? With Orb and Silence and stuff. Well, because just simply, it's not that good. And as I said, once the illusions get beefy, that's no longer going to work. You're actually going to get yourself killed faster than anything. So, it's not that good a thing to do. So what people do is, that is some general counter pick strategies. That's what can do. Someone picks Phantom Lancers, I pick Gyro. But the problem is, and that's what people do a lot, they don't play properly, even though they counter pick, and they don't pick the right items for the situation. Because playing properly as a team and playing to a certain strategy or buying the right items will win you more games than just simply counter picking. You won't win against the Phantom Lancer Keeper of the Light lane just because you picked Gyro. If you can't play him, or if you don't have enough farm, or if they do a good job roaming you down, and then Phantom Lancer's been left alone, you'll still lose. If you roam a Phantom Lancer down, if you gank him once or twice, and if you look at your team setup, and think of what's good about it, when are we going to peak in terms of efficiency, when are we going to diminish, and when are they going to peak, then, and what kind of items could we buy to help ourselves out here, that has a way bigger impact than just simply counterpicking. One example of that, right, would be a Luna. A Luna can deal with a Phantom Lancer, but the problem is, at 35 minutes, she will not have a full inventory, Phantom Lancer will have a full inventory. If, however, it fits into the setup and you say, hey, a Luna can get involved from the get-go. She can nuke someone down early game. In the mid game she has good teamfight presence and she can hold her own. She has natural farm ability, but her glaives can also deal well with illusions. But she needs to have the right farm to be able to. So, if we get Phantom Lancer, if you can hold him down a little bit, so he doesn't get his inventory at 35 minutes, but maybe get his full inventory at 45 minutes, then at that point, our Luna should also have a Butterfly, a Satanic, and a Manta style. And a Butterfly and a Satanic Luna can easily hold off a Phantom Lancer. Yeah, you'll take a fuck ton of damage until you're but besides the fact that in a teamfight you should just blow Eclipse and Lucent Beam anyway just to lose mana. So then your after a couple hits from Phantom Lancer, and then really his illusions won't deal any damage anymore, besides the fact that with the Butterfly you'll dodge a ton of hits. And at that point, your glaives will dispose of the illus easily, and if you go low after being burned, popping Satanic easily heals you to full. Because at that point, all the illusions work into your favor. One single hit with a Satanic active on a Phantom Lancer's sitting with 4 or 5 illusions next to you will heal you back to full in an instant. But you have to be first so that the illusions lose their value in terms of damage. And you have to be able to survive that long, which means you have to have your Satanic first. You have to have your Satanic and your Butterfly to be able to dodge and tank through that fucking bunch of illusions. If you don't have that, then you have no chance. So it becomes more useful later on. But the Luna needs more than 35 minutes to farm all that. So that can work. But why does it work? Well, and that's basically the second part of what we were going to discuss. That's the playstyle. As I said, are you going to buy some time? Are you going to say, okay, we're not as useful 60 minutes into the game as we are right now. Balanar, for example, a Templar assassin. But I won't be rendered completely useless when the game goes to minute 60, because a Templar assassin can still to some degree carry. Whereas a Luna at minute 20 against a Phantom Lancer at minute 20 is rather unfair. He will push towers down, he will have more farm, and he will kill her easily. However, if I as a Balanar in mid do a good job killing his Phantom Lancer once or twice, and we keep him from farming a little bit or defending our towers at least, so we can't push that easily, then we buy some time, and then when the game goes to minute 45, I'm still somewhat useful, but our Luna's potential now is 3 times as high as it was earlier, because now she can take on Phantom Lancer on her own. And that's big. That's big. But that has to fit into the setup. Let's take another example. You can't always pick a Bounty Hunter or a Slardar against a Riki. You can't go, okay, we have an Invoker that's going to go mid, we have a Puck that's going to go solo bot, and we're going to have an AM that's going to farm top and a Furin in the forest. I can't go and pick a Slardar or a Bounty Hunter just to be able to deal with Riki. In that situation, you have to look at him and say, okay, besides the fact that I can deal with him with sentries, with dust, with map awareness, what's he do? Backstab is what he does. For every point of agility, he deals 1.25 points of damage, as long as he hits you in the back. So really, what if he smokescreens you and you just stand the fuck still? You just auto-attack him. Yeah, you're gonna miss because of smokescreen, but all those points he put into backstab are basically rendered useless. Which in the early game means he's gonna have 1 point in smokescreen, 1 point in blink strike, 4 points in backstab, 1 point in ult. And then he'll just deal 80 damage auto-attack to the front. Cool. It's more likely that you'll survive standing still and fighting him, if not someone else actually killing him, even if you die, by him having to spend more time trying to kill you, and you basically buying more time, if not make you survive as a whole. If you stay alive longer because you didn't turn your back on him and run away like a pussy, then you're not giving him the bonus damage from backstab. He takes longer to kill you, or maybe someone else could come in and help you out at that point, so you stay alive. Or maybe if he kills you, he has to overextend and pays for it, at which point it's no longer been as effective for him as it would be if you just turn around and die after 3 hits. That doesn't require a counter pick. And that doesn't even require dust or sentries or map awareness. That's simply not falling for his skill set. It's something that I never understood. Unless you have a TP and there is no way for them to stun you right now, or you having a good, knowing a good fog corner where you can simply, corner around and TP out before you do anything about it, then in general, really, if you're gonna die, you might as well try and auto-attack or kill someone with it. Because then people can come to help, or if a fight is about to follow up, you did something. One person that gets caught off guard 1v5 and then just tries to turn around and run away is pointless. If he has no escape mechanism and if they're going to kill him anyway, he might as well stand and try to do something. And when you have 200 health and a Riki blink strikes on you, you don't turn around and run out of the smoke screen. You stand the fuck still. Gives the other people more chance to react, and while you're not getting 2-shot by the next 2 backstab hits, instead it's going to take him 4 or 5 hits, and that's enough for someone else to stun, that's enough for someone else to TP in, and that's maybe even enough for you to maybe get 1 or 2 lucky hits off where you leech some life because you didn't miss, and then stay alive even longer. And then the smoke screen ends and maybe you can run away, and maybe then he has to dive into the tower and then he gets killed for it anyway, and then it's not worth it anymore. That's a lot more likely to happen than you just turning around, dying in 2 hits, and then expecting someone else to kill him as a punishment. Because then he's just going to get the fuck out. That is not necessarily something you can counterpick. That is something that requires playstyle. Same as Phantom Lancer. If you can just take him out, if you can just keep him from farming, or if you just say, we have to survive for 50 minutes. If we survive for 50 minutes, we will outcarry him, we will win this game. Then it doesn't matter how strong he is at minute 35. He's not going to get stronger than he is at that point. So if you survive until your set goal, until the time when your team setup reaches its maximum efficiency, you can still win. It's just a question of how you reach that. Are you gonna keep him low? Or are you gonna try to end the game, for example, with a pushing strategy? For example, what you can do is, hey, I'm gonna pick a Furion, I'm gonna pick a Chen, for example, and I'm gonna pick something like a Juggernaut. Juggernaut's not gonna win against the Phantom Lancer, but hey, he can somewhat carry, and he is a pushing beast with Healing Totem. So get some Furion Trends in there, and some Chen creeps from the forest. And then Furion maybe buys a Necronomicon, which is a great item against the Phantom Lancer. And hey, there you go. Healing Totem, a fuck ton of creeps. Push. You push them down. Phantom Lancer then has to come and react to that. He has to come and help out. He has to come and defend. He can't just farm freely, on top of the fact that Necronomicon level 3 with True Set naturally counters his escape mechanism. And really, pushing down all the creeps with Healing Totem is already hard. Pushing it down with a mech and a Basilos on a Chen is even harder. Pushing it down with a Necronomicon, which is something nobody wants to kill because of Lost Will, ridiculous. Add the Furion Trends in there, and it doesn't matter if Juggernaut can't carry as hard as Phantom Lancer. If the game ends at minute 20 because they're at your racks, fuck Phantom Lancer, right? You can push, you can gank him, you can try to buy time until your team value is above his team value as a whole. There's so many ways you can deal with him, you don't have to counterpick him. Counterpicking him will not help if you don't know what you're doing. And then, of course, last but not least, is the choice of items. That's important. In most cases, that wins a game on its own already. Let's take an easy example. Why is, for example, an Orchid not a good choice against an AM? Because he has Blink? Well, no, right? Orchid silences, so he can't Blink. Well, naturally, an anti-mage will buy a Manta style, so it fits into his natural item build. So what happens is, if you Orchid him, he will just Manta it, and then kill you. Or blink away if needs be. Secondly, even if you Orchid him, take for example a Furion. If you teleport onto an anti-mage, and Orchid him, and he can't blink, he might as well fight you. And in most cases he will win, because he'll kill you until the Orchid runs out. He doesn't care. So it doesn't really matter whether you silenced him and kept him from blinking, if he can just go and fucking kill you. As opposed to a Sheepstick, which is incredibly useful against an anti-mage and a lot more valuable than an Orchid. Because whether he has a Manta style at some point in his item build as a natural way of means of defense against an Orchid, a Sheepstick is always useful because it disables. It keeps him from attacking and he can't blink away. And it's a good instant way of initiating. You can't cancel a Sheepstick out. If I pop an Orchid and you Manta out, my Orchid's on cooldown. That's it. It's another thing if he Mantas to push a tower and then I Orchid him and sprout him so I can keep him where he is. Then you might have a chance. But that's not always the case. And you shouldn't bank on that. Whereas with a Sheepstick, well, if I use the Sheepstick, he's sheeped. If he Manted before I could use it and then blinked out, then it's still ready. Sheepstick is a guaranteed measure of defense. It's always good against an anti-mage. Let's take another example though. Let's go back to Lifestealer, who is also very popular. Why is an Orchid better against a Lifestealer than it is against an AM? Well, because Lifestealer doesn't get a BKB. Lifestealer doesn't get a Manta style. Lifestealer normally gets an Armlet, a Desolator, an Assault Cuirass, Phase Boots, Drums. He doesn't get a BKB, he doesn't get a Manta, he doesn't get any means to deal with a Silence. And the problem is, why would he? He has Rage. So he has an inbuilt BKB, right? If you want to stun him, he just pops Rage. But the problem is, exactly because of that, if you Orchid him, he can't use Rage. So you don't need to buy a Sheepstick. You just Orchid him, and he can't turn Magic Immune. Then you stun him or deal a ton of damage to him, and he will be dead with the amplified damage on top of the fact that he will take a burst of damage when the Orchid expires. So he never even gets to rage, he never even gets to use crippling wounds, he never even gets to get away by infesting a creep. You just kill him. Just go and fucking kill him. Because in that situation, it's more valuable than a sheepstick. It's more easily obtainable earlier in the game, and you can do more with it. But because of the fact that both his natural item builds and his skill set requires him not to buy such a defensive setup of items, is what makes him weak to such an item like an Orchid. Of course, you could say, oh well, what if he buys a BKB? Well, then he's either bad, or you really forced him into it. And a BKB is 3.9, and an Orchid is 4.1. So if you get an Orchid, and then as a reaction to it, he buys a BKB, then you not only manage to make him spend almost the same amount of money, but he has to react to your Orchid, which means by the time he has a BKB, you should be having something else to deal with him anyway. But that would be really going out of his way just to deal with your Orchid. So you then screw him up either way. Whether you kill him with it or whether you make him spend gold on an item he doesn't necessarily want. It makes an impact. Another good example, right? Storm Spirit. Orchid on a Storm Spirit is so strong, right? Because of the fact that you can use the items during his ult. Storm Spirit can already use Orchid, can use Remnant, can use his pull while he's still ulting to you. So even though you don't even see him coming from a ledge, ulting, from a tower, out of the fog, by the time you see him zapping over the field, you're already silenced by the Orchid. And then he's standing next to you and he's pulling you in with Vortex, and then puts a Remnant down, hits you once or twice, you're already taking a fuck ton of damage, amplified by the Orchid, and then you take the Orchid tick. Great means of initiation. If I play against the Nikes, I'd rather get a fucking Orchid on a Storm Spirit and initiate on him every single time so my team can kill him rather than get a fucking Bloodstone. But that's the choice of item that wins the game, not the playstyle, not the fact that Nikes is fucking OP as hell at minute 40 into the game because Nikes will destroy Alki and we don't have a chance because our hard carry didn't win the game. No, you should have bought a fucking Orchid because that would have won you the game. A Nikes that's Orchid gets killed instantly. Because then even Alki can just stun him because, hey, he can't rage, he's Orchid. Right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. The choice of item is what matters. Right choice of items and right team setup or playstyle is what matters over counterpicking. What else do we have? I'm just going to make one or two more examples and we're pretty much done with this. Ursa. Well, if he racks up a fuck ton of hits on you, you're gonna die. He can even kill Rosh so fast, he's so OP. Well, what if you got a Halberd for him? So he's disarmed. If he's disarmed, he can't rack up any more stacks. If he can't attack, he doesn't leech life anymore. But unlike Lifestealer, he doesn't have a natural rage. So it's not like you Halberd Lifestealer and then he rages and hits you anyway. No. You halberd an Ursa and he either have a BKB and pop it, or he can't do shit. In which case, you won't take any damage at all anymore, and he won't leech life. Because if he doesn't hit you, like, take Roshan for example, if he doesn't have 20 stacks on you of Fury Swipes and he doesn't hit you, then he also doesn't heal anything anymore. So you'll just die. If a Lifestealer doesn't hit you, and doesn't leech life, he dies as well. A good way to deal with Lifestealer, for example, because he's popular as well, is his own weakness. His own strength, right? Is that he's a good counter strength carry. Strength carries like Alchemist are highly based around having lots of health pool, lots of health regen, but they have no armor. What's Lifestealer do? Lifestealer naturally gets something like a Desolator, an Assault Cuirass. And Feast takes 7% of their current health pool as damage. And heals himself for that amount. So, if he hits an Alki with 3k health and ulti up, he gets a whooping 250 healing and damage, plus his base damage. And if he has a Desolator and Assault Cuirass, Alchemist has maybe 6 armor on level 14? Or 12 even? So with a Desolator alone, he's already on -2. if you know, say Desolator and Assault Cuirass combined on, you know, -11, 6 plus 5. So if he has 6 armor, he's already on -5 just after the first hit. So he takes a fuck ton of bonus damage. He has a huge health pool, so Feast will deal a ton of bonus damage, and he's magic immune. So Alki can't stun him. He won't be affected by the minus armor from the asset either. Lifesteal just destroys him. It's a really good counter strength carry. But exactly because of that, his own weakness is being a strength carry. He has no armor himself. Which means Templar Assassin is a great counter. Why? Templar Assassin, even though if you meld on him and he gets -8 armor. So he's already in the minus because Nyx has no armor either. So then he pops Rage. Okay, he removes the minus armor, but Meld has almost no cooldown. And you can meld again while he is under Rage and he will get the minus armor again. So say you meld on him, he gets -8 armor. And then he pops Rage, he removes the -8 armor, you just meld him again while he's on the Rage, and he will still take -8 armor. He will just purge it off himself with the initial activation of the skill, but he will not actually be immune to it, should you reapply it. The fact that Meld is physical, the fact that she is based on minus armor, and the fact that she has Refract makes her a great counter. What's he gonna do? Turn around and pop crippling wounds? Yeah, well, but the problem is that Nyx doesn't heal unless he deals actual damage. It's not like you say, I pop crippling wounds on you and you're on full health, because what refraction does is it blocks a certain amount of instances of damage. So if you say, I hit you once, that's 1 instance of damage. Refraction at max level absorbs 6 instances of damage. So if you hit me 6 times, those 6 hits are blocked completely. Even if one of those hits is something like a Laguna Blade from Alina, or a Finger of Death from a Lion. Of course, that means that something like Dots are highly effective, because those take the refraction off immediately, but Nyx doesn't have something like that. So, what's he gonna do? He's gonna turn around and pop crippling wounds and just stay and fight, right? Because then he can at least heal up. Well, no, because Life Leech doesn't work that way. If you don't deal any damage at all because it got absorbed, then you don't heal anything. So on top of the fact that he has no armor and he will easily have minus armor after being melded, and it even can be applied through Rage, turning around and fighting TA won't help, because he deals no damage to her for at least 6 hits. He has no means of easily disposing of the refraction, so he has to hit her 6 times. So he won't heal, he will just lose health, and really, by the time those 6 hits come in, Rage is over, and then she can just slow him and kill him. Even if he wants to get away at that point. So he won't heal anything, he won't deal any damage to her either, but he can't get away either. And he has no armor, so he's naturally weak against her item builds and her skill set. It's a great counter to Lifestealer. So, it doesn't necessarily need to always be a hero. It doesn't necessarily always need to be items. It can be the playstyle, push strats. It can be ganking the problem factor in their team, saying, okay, we have one particular problem factor. Their Phantom Lancer is a big problem. Keep him down, we'll be fine. If we can buy ourselves 10 more minutes in the late game, we'll be fine. If we can do that. If you gank him well in the early game and delay his farm by 10 minutes, we'll be fine. Because at minute 45, we're better than he is at 35 with perfect farm. So if the game goes to 45 minutes, he got ganked a little bit, you'll be fine. If it's something like a Ricky, don't necessarily turn around and run. Fight. Get some wards, get some dust, gank him, and he's useless. If it's something like a Lifestealer, yeah, you can pick TA, but you can also just get an Orchid. Buying the right items, using the right setup of heroes, and not picking heroes like, as I said, Slardar or Bounty Hunter, just because you need invis detection and then fucking yourself over on the setups is what's way more important. So, I think we've done and discussed everything that's important in this particular episode. So I'll be coming to you with another one sometime around next week. Until then, folks, I'm out. Have a good one.